begin to look around outside, you realize that there's a lot of things that are flying and buzzing around. And you have flies and you have bees, and there's an interesting comparison between the two. In fact, in form of a story that you can think of, that there is a fly and a bee that one morning who were on one end of a huge field, piece of property, and they were just getting going in the morning. They spoke their howdy-doos and then went off into their day. A little later in the morning, they met up on the other side of the property. And so the bee was like, "What an amazing, amazing morning this has been. I stopped by a little patch of corn that was just beginning to tassel out and was able to hang out there for a while. I flew on down and found a beautiful patch of wildflowers. I found a magnolia tree that was in full bloom. The blooms were as big as that guy's head. It was an amazing morning, and I just can't wait to get on back to my hive and be able to start working on making some honey. How was your morning, Mr. Fly?" And the fly was like, "Well, it was horrible." He goes, "Really? What happened?" He goes, "Well, I came by and I found a rotten armadillo. And then I moved on and I found a pile of garbage. And then I found a big old pile of dookie. And that's all I found. That's all there was on there." Isn't that crazy how you have two things, a fly and a bee, that would travel the same course, end up the same destination, but one found nothing but good things and one found nothing but bad? Our question this day is this for you, are you a Dookie-Fly? Are you that kind of person who finds nothing but bad in everything? You say, "Well, I don't know if I am or not." Well, let me give you 3 questions you can ask yourself to see if you are indeed a Dookie-Fly. Well, one question is this: do you find yourself grumbling and complaining about complainers? You see, the thing that aggravates us the most in other people is usually the thing we like least about ourselves. And so if you are constantly complaining and being aggravated by people around you who complain all the time, it's an indicator that that's maybe one of your faults as well. All right. Another question you can ask yourself is this: are you typically aggravated, and do you vocalize that aggravation when things around you aren't going your way? I mean, are you one who vocalize that? You see, that grumbling when things aren't going our way is an indication or a face of anger. And anger is saying, something's going on I don't want. I don't like this. I'm not getting my way. And when we're not getting our way, we recognize this is that our complaint is ultimately against God. In that, because He is the one that's in control, and if things aren't going the way we like them, we complain, and our complaint is really rising to heaven. That's why even in the Old Testament, hey, listen, grumbling and complaining is like a capital offense. So it's a big deal to the Lord. In Ephesians 2:14, He says, "Do all things without grumbling." So we recognize that this is not a path we want to fly on. And if that is you today, to where you are constantly vocalizing your displeasure about a situation or about a person, chances are you're just being a Dookie-Fly. Now, the third question that you need to ask yourself is this: is that when you find a situation, do you find what's bad about it? When you're assessing something, do you have a way of expressing what happened in a negative light? Or when you're talking to somebody, do you find, or you're relating to somebody, do you find their weaknesses and focus on what's wrong or what doesn't quite add up? Or are you finding the good? You see, when you have that perspective of coming in and looking for the bad, that's a good indication that you're just being a Dookie-Fly. Now, you don't have to be that way. That's the good thing about God and His redeeming grace, is that He can come into anybody's life and move them towards being more bee-ish. You can become more like that positive person who sees things through a different perspective, who finds the blossoms and finds the field of wildflowers, who is a fragrance to the people around them in a good way. How do you do that? Well, first is that you need to find the good in every situation. It may take discipline. It's going to take the God's grace, but you need to train your mind to find the good in every situation and think on the good. If you're looking for bad, you're going to find it. But if you're looking for good, you can find that as well. And you can discipline yourself through God's grace to be able to find the good in every situation and in every person. That you can also, okay, so the second thing is that you can learn to rest in God's control. The frustrations and the murmurings and complaining, the anger that boils up over not being in control, not getting the way we want, the solution is finding rest in God's control. When we're able to rest in that it brings about a peace and it brings a joy to life. Instead of being grumpy and finding dead stuff and garbage to think about all day, no, you're being able to find something beautiful and find something good because you're resting in God's control. And then the result is going to be this, is that you will become something that's great. The result of your life is going to be something that's a blessing and sweet as honey to all the people around you. I hope this helps. I encourage you to pass this on. Thanks so much for joining us today on Mississippi Dirt.